welcome once again to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee, founders and financial advisors of Allon Planning Partners, their firm right here in Tennessee. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. On today's program, I know that there's a lot of folks who probably feel like they're behind when it comes to retirement planning. So we're going to talk about some solutions for you, what you can do. This is going to be an upbeat, positive show about what you can do to get yourself ready for retirement.
Right.
Jay, Brittany, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing good, ready to dive in.
All right, well, let's do it then. Let's dive right into it. Look, we are well aware that you might have kids who are in college, or maybe they just left the nest. And when it comes to saying, save a little bit more, we hear that a lot, but we realize families are working hard enough as it is right now.
Yeah.
How can we help maybe start with saving a little bit more, or where to save more?
And some people even having to work 2 and 3 jobs right now. And we understand inflation's hit us hard. And, the inflation rate continues to go up. Sometimes we talk about the Fed patting themselves on the back that, the inflation rate's only 3% now. Well, that doesn't mean prices are coming down. That just means they're not increasing as fast. And so I understand, out there, the majority of folks we meet with are trying to make every dollar work really hard for them. And that's what we want to do, because most people that come in and meet with us, they don't have a written financial plan. And we're not just saying, hey, just save more to save more. We're saying we can find areas in your budget to where you may be able to put an extra $25, $50, $100 away a month, and that makes a huge difference 10 years down the road. It's not just about what it does this week, but it's about what it's going to do for me 10 years from now and the compounding interest that we get. So I want to encourage you out there, get a written financial plan. That's what we specialize in, helping you get a spending plan together that works better than maybe a budget app that you have right now, right? We want to dig deep into your finances to make sure that we're helping you with solutions to save more, not just putting a burden on you to say you have to save more. But it really is solutions based to where we can put together a written financial plan.
Real quick, you're saying we want to try to save more money, and you're talking about a written financial plan. Somebody might be thinking, well, how much does it cost for me to get the written financial plan?
Well, this is what we do complimentary. Everyone that walks into our office, whether you decide to work with Allon Planning or not, we want to make sure that you walk out with a solution to whatever that problem is. Now, the majority of people, they see the value that we provide, and they say, we want to partner with Allon Planning because it's going to increase where my likelihood of getting to where I want to be in retirement. But we put together written complimentary financial plans for everyone who walks in the office, no matter what it is. So you're not having to bring your checkbook and then come in and bring a $100 bill to let us do this. We're doing this for you out as an educational tool. And then eventually, if we show you the value of what we can provide, we would love to take you on as a client. But don't worry about bringing your checkbook to that first appointment. We want you to come and get a solution that you can work with.
Right, and as we began this segment, so many folks are in the place of thinking, man, I'm so behind. 32% of working age adults have saved zero for retirement. So this is a huge chunk of the population here that have not planned, have not begun to set aside for the future. And so it's really about just beginning. As Jay said a few minutes ago, if it's taking $50 or $100 and taking that, what feels so small, and putting it away, compound interest works wonders. As over time it grows and it builds on itself over time, and it can make more of a difference than you realize. I read a story recently about a gentleman who, he was an average Joe. He was a janitor and he was a gas station attendant. Okay, he had 2 jobs. Those are the 2 things he did. And he worked hard at what he did, and he saved. He was consistent at saving. He put what little he could away each month from his pay. And when he passed away, his family and his friends were shocked at what he had. They had no clue that he had amassed so much. But this gentleman had discovered the power of compound interest. He put money away early, and it grew and grew and grew over time. And I'm not talking about huge chunks of money. I mean, he was a gas station attendant. He was a janitor. He made a median wage, right? But he was consistent, and he was intentional to put away, and he allowed that to work for him. So again, the small amounts that you think are insignificant can really help grow and build. And they are significant. It does make a difference. But you have to have a plan to do that, because as we talked about, Inflation is high, expenses are high. We know it's not easy right now because the cost of everything really has increased. But the way to overcome that is to strategize. The way to overcome that is to plan. That is where we come in to help you craft this plan to see, okay, what can I spend and what do I put away? What should go where and how can I manage this so that I have what I need? I even have some of my wants because that's important in the now too. We recognize that, but we have to plan for your future. And that's what we help with. That's what this complimentary consultation is really all about. And that's when we sit down, that's what we talk about. What are your goals? What are you wanting to do? What's your situation? What's your income? What are your expenses? And we learn about you, you learn about us, you can ask questions, and we talk through your situation to put together a very practical plan to get you in a better position leaving than when you came in. That is our goal, to invest in you in that way, to make your situation better.
We met with a couple last week together that they sat down with us and they had met with other financial advisors before. They had a 401k, they had an IRA, but they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Plenty of people have investment vehicles, right? Not a lot of people have a financial plan. And so when we were unfolding to them, hey, here's some things you should think about when it comes to investment allocation or tax planning or legacy planning or healthcare planning, they're like, why has no one ever told us this before? Just in your spending plan, that someone's willing to walk you through a better spending plan than what you currently have right now is a huge benefit. We want to let you take advantage of this, and we have a number on the screen or the QR code to get your complimentary written financial plan. When you come in and meet with us, you don't have to bring the checkbook, you don't have to come in ready to pay. It's complimentary. We want to educate as much as we can. We would love to show you the value of a written financial plan in your life.
And sometimes it's just small adjustments. Because I want to be clear, you're talking about the compounding. So I don't think that Americans can just save enough on this, meaning
That's right.
in that money market account or
account.
in the
That's
mattress
right.
or in the backyard. It's got to be
Start
working
small.
for you. So that
Yes.
means
Put
in
it to
investment
work.
accounts,
Right.
401ks, and sometimes small adjustments. Because one of those phrases I hear all the time is, well, how much do you save? Well, I put up to the employer match. Well, but you're leaving room.
Yeah.
Or there could be more that you could be doing on the outside. So sometimes just a small adjustment.
Absolutely.
Now, what Jay was talking about there is that there are different kinds of financial advisors out there. And you might be talking to a representative who works at what we call one of those large big box firms, and
That's
there's
right.
nothing wrong with that, but generally that can be more accumulation oriented, where they talk to you about the investments. What Jay and Brittany are talking about here is holistic financial planning with a retirement lean, a retirement lane, if you will. That's what we like to focus on. So get your own complimentary written financial plan just by calling the phone number here. Make an appointment. It's probably going to be a couple of appointments. We'll come in, we'll meet you first. We're going to go over through an hour or maybe even more, bring in all those statements, and then we'll help you figure out how to put together a financial plan to help you maximize. That's what we're talking about in today's program. Don't go anywhere. We have a message right here from Jay and Brittany. We're going to come back with more solutions on how you can catch up for retirement right after this.
Allon means oak tree, and when we began this firm 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that, we were searching, trying to determine what do we really want to build this foundation on? How do we want to depict and share this mission that we have with the world? What does this look like?
And so as we were processing through what should be the grounding factor, the name of our company, Allon really stood out. It's actually the Hebrew word for oak tree.
And we knew that the oak tree was going to be the symbol for what we are, how we operate, because those are the kinds of financial plans we want to create.
And so Allon comes from the Psalms, where it talks about the tree that is planted by the water, that has deep roots, that even in times of drought, this tree can sustain life, and it bears fruit in every season.
That really became the foundation and the mantra of our firm. Why we do what we do, who we are, how we operate.
We want to create plans for people with deep roots that even in times of turmoil it hits their life. Maybe it's a death in their family. Maybe it's another financial crisis. Maybe it's COVID, and something that we can't even see coming. But the roots are so deep that they bear fruit in all seasons because we have a plan for every season of life.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee, founders and financial advisors of Allon Planning Partners. I'm Spike Spangle, and we always talk about retirement planning solutions here at the Allon Exchange. And we know that there's a lot of you out there that feel like you're behind, or you've done a great job taking care of the kids and maybe getting them to college or saving for their college. And maybe now you're in your 50s and you're saying, wow, I feel like I'm so behind, or like I'm going to have to keep working. I want to ask you about that. Is that necessarily a negative thing today, talking about extending our working timeline by maybe another year or two? Because we're going to couple that with catch-up contributions in a little bit, but we're living longer than we ever have, right?
Right, and that's something that we talk a lot about with the folks we sit with. If they're looking for options as to how to ensure they have enough for that season, and there are actually quite a few benefits to adding a couple working years to your, to your timeline here, pre-retirement. So if this isn't a necessity for you, let's talk through some pros of what that could help with. A lot of people don't consider the emotional impact that comes at the point of retirement, where they retire and then boom, all of a sudden their entire life is different.
Working,
Their time is different, their responsibilities are different, even their purpose kind of shifts because I'm not doing this, and what am I doing with my time? And there's so much that goes into that transition that a lot of folks don't consider what the emotional impact might be. So we really like the idea of, if it's necessary or if it could be a good fit or option for you, to maybe go from even working full-time to maybe even working part-time short-term, to kind of transition easy into retirement, to help you financially adjust, of course, is what we're talking about, but also to kind of help you see, okay, I've got some free time. What am I going to do with this? How's this going to look? Do I want to travel? Do I want to stay home? It kind of like a retirement trial run, kind of, to see what you want to do with your time once you're really in it. Because I think you can have this vision of what you want it to be, but then when you experience it, you may realize, oh, I'm tired of traveling. I don't want to travel. I just want to be home, or vice versa. So it's really a great way to...
Or I'm not really that good at golfing.
That's a realistic conversation we should have.
That's a very realistic conversation.
The other realistic conversation is we're all living longer.
Yeah, I mean, longevity is...
Thank God, that's a great thing. We have medical advances that are helping us live longer, but that costs more money over time. And so
our savings has to go longer.
Yeah.
So you got to save more.
You have to save more, but you want to think about, should I be working, as Spike said, a year, maybe more, maybe 2 years more? Or do I transition into a secondary career, which is, I may not make as much money as what I was working at this job, but it's more of a part-time situation like yours, that I get to do something I love and make money at, and not just be like, well, I'm out altogether because of the emotional impact of it. We have many conversations with couples about that. Last week I met with a couple who, the gentleman's a pilot, and he says, I actually never want to retire. He's 70 years old and he wants to fly until he's 85, and as long as he can pass those physicals, right? And so if you find something you love, have a realistic conversation about, do I ever want to quit doing this?
But we find the opposite is true a lot more often. People don't enjoy what they're doing. So if you are in that boat and you're like, man, I just want to retire now. I do not want to think about adding more years to what I'm doing. Think about other ways that you can produce income to help you in the interim, so that you don't continue in this drudgery of something that really you detest. Make a shift. Find some additional purpose in what you're doing. What gives you life? What brings you joy? What brings some fulfillment that you could also monetize? I'll give you two quick examples. I have a friend who is in that stage of life, trying to transition. She does balloon arches. She excels in them, she loves them, and she makes great money doing it, and it's fun. She has a ball going to these parties and setting that up. We have another individual, a client of ours, who paints. And she transitioned from working in her full-time career to painting and being in art shows, and she's won some money, and then she's begun selling what she's painted. And so she's turned her hobby into something that produces income. So
there is life to this as well.
Yeah,
there is
creative solutions.
And there's the extension of it. I also like what you're talking about, being part of the gig economy, doing something you love.
Right.
But let's also say, look, we've got to be realistic. We need more of the dollars and cents.
Yeah.
That's right.
So how about catch-up contributions? How many times do you see people using those catch-up contributions to their max when they come to your office door?
Yeah, we met with a couple, I don't know, maybe about a month ago, and we were talking about, what they could contribute to their retirement accounts. And the gentleman stopped and was like, "Wait, I can put that much into my account?" We're like, "Yeah,
That's
you're
right.
over, you're over 50. Yeah, you're over
Mm-hmm.
50, so you can take advantage of the catch-up contribution." They were like, "I don't know what that is. What is that?" So for individuals who are over the age of 50, you have what's called a catch-up contribution, where you can actually contribute more to your 401k.
Mm-hmm.
You can contribute more to an IRA or a Roth account. And many folks just aren't even aware that they can do that.
To help you with those numbers,
maximizing-
yeah, you share it with us. So 22,000 is what you can put this year into your 401k or Roth 401k with a $7,500 catch-up if you're over the age of 50. Now, that's
right.
your money. That's you pulling that in and saving that. But you're trying to find ways to catch up right now. Look, let's say you're in your mid-50s, you're earning a good salary.
earning years,
The kids are kind of starting to be on their own from college, or hopefully they're going to be working sometime or getting out of the basement sometime in the next 10 years. You've got 3, 4, 5, 6 years where you can be saving $30,000. And that's going to continue to go up.
$30,500. That is a chunk of money. Think about being able, if you're in those high earning years, you can put, and over 50, you can
That's right.
put that much away into a 401k. That's exceptional. And think about, on top of that, if you're looking for other ways to invest and save and plan, you can do that as well on, again, a Roth account or a traditional IRA, which is like a self-directed IRA that you open up and can direct yourself. You have additional funds you can contribute there as well. $8,000 total that you can contribute above and beyond, what you've contributed to your 401k. So you put those together and watch the growth over time as you're putting those dollars to work for you. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and to talk about the real numbers of it, again, this is why we want to put together a financial plan. So over the catch-up contribution, the $30,500, there'd be about $1,250 per pay period coming out. Actually, I think a little bit less, about $1,100 per pay period if you're getting paid every 2 weeks.
That's right.
If you're under that, it's somewhere around $800 a month. So this would mean coming up with an actual financial plan can help
That's
you
right.
kind of figure out those puzzle pieces
That's
of putting
right.
that together. Jay, why don't you take us out at a commercial here? Tell us a little bit about the complete written financial plan, what you're going to do.
Yeah, so when we take a look at a complete financial plan, we want to see, first off, your investment management. How are you allocated? Are you putting away enough dollars, the spending plan we talked about? Are you putting away enough into your 401ks, your IRAs? We want to make sure that you understand that you do have a catch-up provision if you're over that age of 50. So we're going to take a look into those investment portfolios. One, to see, are we contributing enough? Two, to see how are we allocated in those and are they working best for you? Then we take a look at things like income planning. We take a look at tax planning. We want to save you money there. We want to take a look at healthcare planning and estate legacy planning. We take a look at a lot of things that are comprehensive when it comes to a written financial plan. So when you come in, you can expect to receive back from us, after we get a little information from you, here's the path you should be on going forward. Here are some steps that you can take today to get you to where you want to be tomorrow. And that's what we want to take advantage of. And we want to let you come in and meet with us for this written financial plan.
Jay, Brittany, thank you so much. Very short break. Don't go anywhere, folks. This message is about Jay and Brittany here in the Allon Exchange. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about purposeful investing and what you can do if you're over the age of 60 to even take more control of your investments when we get back right after this message.
You have to have a plan. From what I found, we call it the sleep well at night plan, the SWAN plan.
Yeah, a comprehensive plan is extremely important for individuals, families, couples, anyone who is working with their finances. You've got to have more than just an investment.
If we have a plan and know that we can follow step by step a plan that's going to get us to our ultimate goal, we can have trust in that plan to anchor us in those tumultuous times.
And so we're able to really show them, hey, there's all these other things that really come into play.
So it's real important for us to really create those unique plans for people. And it's not just like, well, my neighbor's doing this, so I'm okay.
You got to think about your taxes. You got to think about your health care. You got to think about a number of things that really impact the whole of your financial situation, especially for couples. And we talk about this a lot, that at minimum, both spouses should at least be informed.
Ultimately, we want everyone to not just, be wandering through life and hope that they make it to the goals that they have. We want to put a written step-by-step plan together so that you actually know how to get to those financial goals. Because if you don't have a plan in place to get you through some of those times and you don't have financial security, that's something else that is added to that stress level that can push you overboard.
Welcome back. How do you catch up if you feel like you're behind in retirement? That's what we're talking about with Jay and Brittany Hagee. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. And investing with purpose, of course, we all would like to invest with purpose. But when it comes to our 401k providers, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of allocation advice.
Right.
There are those dials. We can choose percentages of what we put into
That's
certain
right.
funds. Or, in fact, there's what's called the easy
target
button,
date
is
fund.
those target date
Right.
funds.
That's right.
That doesn't really seem like investing with great purpose. I mean, it seems like investing with
Right.
ease. So can you help folks, especially if they're over the age of 60?
Sure. Well, sometimes those 401k plans can be a little restrictive in what the offerings can be. And so when folks come in with a 401k, especially if they're over 59 and a half, because that's the magic number, that they can now do what's called an in-service withdrawal, typically, which means they can roll over portions or a lot of the vested portion of that 401k to a self-directed IRA. And the benefit in doing that is you can invest with more purpose because the options are much broader at that point. It's not just a simple target date fund where they may put a certain amount of percentage bonds, a certain amount of percentage stock, and things like this. But we can actually customize your portfolio allocation to what your needs are right there. And so not only for where you're at now, maybe you're 60 years old and you want to retire in 3 years. Are you optimized to let that grow as much as it needs to, or are we pulling back on the risk a little bit because you've amassed enough money? It really depends on where you're at as an individual, but investing with purpose means that you have different segments of purposes for that money. It's not just all in one bucket. We may have a short-term bucket that's more emergency fund. We may have a mid-term bucket which says, hey, in 5 years, I want to start taking a little bit of income here. We may have a really long-term bucket that says we're going to concentrate this bucket on growth for a longer period of time. And so we're able to segment those at the point of a self-directed IRA that you really have a hard time doing in the 401k, and we give a better directed
Jay,
advice.
I'm really glad you brought that up, and I want Brittany maybe to expand it. I want to slow this point down because it's really important. When we're investing in our 401ks, all of our money is kind of in this one space.
That's right.
And you just talked about segmenting it out. And I think
Yeah.
kind of a different buckets or different pools or different tiers, however you want to consider it. So this concept of still working yet starting to plan and kind of separate the money,
That's right.
that can be very difficult for myself and for our viewers to do on their own.
Change is hard. Change can be challenging. We recognize that. But we want to talk through some of those benefits of making the right change. Let's specify, not just change for change sake, but the right change.
That's
okay.
right.
So with a 401k, you have typically, like we talked about, 15, 20, maybe 30 options to choose from. When you have a self-directed IRA, you have many more options for investing. The investment options really do open up to you so you can specifically determine what you want to invest in. And then to what Spike was talking about, Jay, as well, about taking that single bucket of funds and maybe separating that into different buckets, you want to call it that, for different purposes. We talk a lot at our firm about investing with purpose, for purpose, and on purpose. Purpose is a huge part of what we do, why we do what we do. Why are you wanting to invest this money, and what are you wanting to do with it? So that's where we might divvy it out into different segments or different buckets and invest it differently based on the purpose for that money. If you have a lump sum of money that you're wanting to use for the down payment of a home, maybe a retirement home, or to send your kids to college or something that you need sooner, we would invest that very differently than you would funds that you want to use in 10 or 15 years for retirement income, right? So there can be real purpose in segmenting those funds out that used to all be in one bucket, pulling those into multiple buckets to really enact a strategy in how, not just how you're going to use those funds in the future, but how you're investing those
That's right.
funds now to prepare for that time when you will use
Your
the
options
funds.
are just greatly advanced.
And I'm going to go ahead and open up this can of worms. I know that there's legislation out there with the possibility of putting annuities into today's 401k plans. Part of the problem is the portability. How would that work
Right.
with a 6 or a 10-year contract?
Right.
But something that you could do, and we're not saying this is for everybody, but with an in-service withdrawal, you could start setting up your own privatized pension.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's for those of you who
Creating your
don't
own
have
income
pension
streams.
plans, this is kind of what we're talking about. And the other thing about the in-service withdrawal is you're not stopping contributing to
No.
that
That's
workplace
right.
You
plan,
keep
right?
the 401k open
You're
and you
continuing that.
continue to contribute to that. It doesn't stop that, right?
It just lets you better
continue-
direct the funds that are already in there to actually get to the purposes that you have for them, right? That's all we're doing. We want you to continue. We will, believe me, we'll put together a plan where we have to continue saving. You can continue using your 401k. It's just you can use the money that you've already saved for the last 20 years a lot better directed.
By the way, so for somebody to come in and talk about this, there's no cost for this. Are you pitching? Are you selling? Are you trying to capture somebody the very first time they come into your office?
I tell people this all the time. The only thing we're selling is a service. Everyone's selling something, but we're not selling you a product. We're selling you a service, and that's true financial planning. We want to cover all 5 concepts and all places of financial planning that we have, whether it's investments or tax planning or estate planning or healthcare planning. But what we want to do is show you value. We want to make sure that we're offering you value, because if we can't show you value, then we shouldn't earn your business, right? But we want to make sure that you leave with a written financial plan that shows you a better path forward and a better way forward, so that when you leave, you can leave with a peace of mind and an understanding that I can get to the goal
Right.
that I've set before
And we
me.
understand that many folks walk into these scenarios with a guard up. What are they trying to get from me? What are they trying to get from me?
Yeah.
But we take the approach here, we're not trying to get anything from you. We are working to get something to you. Again, our goal is to invest in you so that you are in a better position, a better financial position when you walk out our door than you were when you came in. That is our goal, to improve your financial situation. And if we can't do that, we will let you know. But the majority of the time, we're good at what we do, and we are able to really enhance the scenarios and situations that our prospects and clients are in. So we sit on the same side of the table as you. We are independent fiduciaries, which means we work for you,
That's
not a
right.
big box brokerage firm or an insurance company. We don't work for them. We work for you. You are our focus. You are our goal.
As a sign of good faith as well, we'd like to also give you a complimentary copy of their brand new book about the Allon Exchange,
That's right.
how they do things. So you'll come in, you will get your written financial plan at no cost. See how you can catch up. See what you can do today. You'll have that plan. You'll get a complimentary copy of the book. And if you decide to move forward, that's up to you. But thank you so much for watching the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. We'll be back next week.